Joe Burrow's health has been a topic all offseason long, but his mindset and his shift this offseason and how he's attacking things could make all the difference for the Cincinnati Bengals. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller, and this is Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Catch us every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern right here on CBT, weekly on Bally Sports. And as always, we're part of the Big Play Network. And make sure you drink your garage beers all summer long and throw your wagers on Tipico Sportsbook. Shout out to our sponsors. And Andrew, let's get into it because last week was a big week. We're finally in off-season mode. It felt like we were going to hit off-season mode a few months ago. Nah, baby, nah. It did not happen.
This is off-season mode for you? Like we're just now hitting it for you?
Yeah.
Oh, I felt that way for weeks now, James. I don't know.
Mailed it in. Andrew's mailed it in. That's it. That's what you get here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see how much you've mailed it in as we talk about Joe Burrow, who isn't taking vacation, but it has been a lighter offseason for him for a variety of ways and for a variety of reasons. Mandatory minicamp in the books. The Bengals, well, a lot of them probably are on vacation now. They'll reconvene at the end of July for training camp. But between now and then, Burrow and the Bengals, well, they're going to try to stay healthy, get to 100% if you're Joe Burrow. And part of that involves, well, shifting his mindset. Joe Burrow explained why he's shifted things and approaching this offseason much, much different than he did in the past.
We don't have to be ready to go in the middle of June. We got to be ready to go early September through February. So that's how we're attacking this offseason and this rehab plan and these practices and training camp. We're attacking it like I want to be out there playing in February. It's always hard to change your mindset when you've done it one way for so long, and that's gotten you to where I'm at now. And I feel really good about the player that I am because of that work that I put in. But now I feel like I'm transitioning more to listening to my body and making sure that I'm feeling 100% so I can go out and perform. I'm not making these big leaps year to year. I'm feel really good about where I'm at as far as how I'm going to play. Now it's just about making sure my body is in the right place to be able to do that.
Makes total sense for a few reasons. One of which, we know how good Burrow is. Everyone watching right now, Andrew, has probably said, man, if Joe stays healthy, hey, if 9 is healthy. I know multiple Bengals have said that to me over the past few weeks. Not months, not years, just the past few weeks. Hey, as long as you keep 9 upright, we're going to be right there. And so, yeah, this is exactly how you would want him to approach it, especially coming off of a serious wrist injury like he is.
It sort of echoes what he said in the past. And I'll be honest, this particular news conference that Burrow had, it felt to me, and maybe this is all in my head, it felt to me like this is maybe the finale of the Burrow wrist injury. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about pushing yourself? I'm not saying it won't be asked about again, but for now, because of what we have to work with mini camps, off-season OTAs, practices, what have you, until camp hits, and especially until preseason hits, I feel like it's going to be the topic, and rightfully so. I understand it. Let me ask you this, James. I have to ask you this really quickly. If we talk about Burrow and his injury history, not pushing himself, he's got this whole new mentality that he's been talking about for the last several months that he's been in front of the media. Would you attribute that not so much to the wrist, but to the calf? The calf injury, and then coming back, especially early in the season, I think it was week 2 when he kind of re-aggravated it. Was that maybe that moment that he could look back on and go, I'm going to change my approach to this? Whether that happened after the season, whether that happened before, after the wrist injury, I don't know. But was that the sort of impetus of all of this, do you think?
1,000%. And I think that the calf isn't necessarily even in season. There's so many people that bring up the calf injury and say, oh, he shouldn't have played week 1, or he shouldn't have been out there week 2. Or there's no way in heck he should have played against the Rams when they were 0-2. And I really don't think he feels that way. I think the regret he has is pushing it in July, which caused the calf. He had some tightness, and then he went out there and practiced really, really, really hard after probably the best practice I've ever seen him practice on July 27th. Comes back, or July 26th, and injures it July 27th, or it was 27th or 28th. Regardless, back-to-back days, and has some tightness there and tries to push through it. And that's going to be a theme you're going to hear from Joe Burrow throughout this show. And so, yeah, I think it's the calf. And I think when he had the extra time during the season with the wrist injury in late November and in December, and the Bengals are winning games and staying in the playoff hunt, he's looking around. He's like, man, if I just didn't push when I didn't have to. And he didn't have to in that early training camp. And that's what I think is interesting is, a couple of weeks ago, he doesn't practice and Zach Taylor talks. And it's like, yeah, we've been giving him rest days. And Joe has been clear about his mindset. But when you get into training camp, when you get into preseason, which you mentioned, and so off script here, let's just go right now. Make your prediction. Do you think Joe Burrow plays in the preseason, and would you play him in the preseason? I'll answer if you want me to answer.
I think he would. I think Joe would, no matter what. The question is, would I play him, or would Zach Taylor play him? However we want to play this. Yeah, I think I'd give him that sort of. We'll call it we'll give him that little that first drive, a few snaps just to check that box. But I think Burrow would regardless.
Okay, so there's your answer. Here's what I'm going to say. And I'm going to look dead in the camera, and I'm hopefully Joe is watching.
Okay.
There's a chance. By the way, shout out. I saw one of our viewers was watching us on Bally Sports from Great American Ballpark. And so Joe mentioned that he went to the game a few weeks back. Who knows? Maybe Joe was in a suite watching us.
So you're looking at Joe is what you're trying to get at here?
I'm just saying. I'm looking at it. There is no way, zero way, that Joe Burrow should touch the preseason grass with pads on. Outside of maybe warm-ups, if you want him to go through his warm-up routine. Here's why. They have joint practices. They're doing one in Chicago. And then they have a joint practice.
I get that they have two. That crossed my mind. I was just looking at it from a very objective, okay, all right.
I'm not saying Joe doesn't want to. Joe would throw a 90-yard bomb. He would go throw 90 passes right now. He's competitive. And so that's what he wants to do. But you have those joint practices. And I think that the starters can get as much, if not more, out of those than the game themselves anyway. So that would be my approach. I think that's why you have two joint practices also, is you don't necessarily need to put these guys out in games that are fighting for their job and fighting to make the team. And so I wouldn't play any of the starters. I wouldn't change it. And I'm going to get a bunch of people saying, slow start. You have to.
Yeah.
It's early.
He should be returning kicks, James.
We're going to talk about this again, and it's going to come up on the show, and I'm going to feel the same darn way. So, Joe, hopefully you're listening. Hopefully you take that advice. Joe Burrow is the highest paid player in the NFL, and yet he admits he had to take a step back this offseason to realize his value. Find out why coming up next on Enter the Jungle. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. I'm James Rapien. Catch us every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk and weekly on Bally Sports. And Andrew, Joe Burrow, well, he said he had to take a step back. Last week during Bengals mandatory minicamp, said he had to take a step back to realize his value, which I think everyone watching knows Joe Burrow's value. Here's why. He had to take a step back, reflect, and realize what he means to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Whenever you fight through adversity and come out on the other side, it definitely gives you a feeling of invincibility at times, but obviously you know that that is not the case. And so it's always a balancing act. And that's what this offseason has been about for me. It's not pushing through some things that I've pushed through in the past. I've always prided myself on my mental toughness to be able to push through pain and push through those injuries. And so that's kind of been my growth this offseason is taking a step back and understanding my value to the organization and to the team and the value of the work that I've put in for the last 10 years and relying on that as opposed to relying on my work week in and week out, day to day.
I think Joe, throughout this, and it was a 19-minute session, but was as honest about where he's coming from as any athlete that I can remember, about his health, about his approach this offseason, about why he feels that way. And look, it's real easy to say, oh, well, of course you shouldn't push through it. But this is a guy that dominated at Athens High School and was state runner-up and felt like he should have won state. And then he goes to Ohio State and he doesn't play. And he doesn't play and he doesn't play and he doesn't play. So guess where he was? He was in the gym. He was in the playbook. He was on the field throwing. And the moment he got on the field for the first time and was healthy, LSU, naturally he was never going to leave the field. He was going to play through pain. He was going to play through injuries. He was going to fight through abdominal pain during a June practice or a July practice that wasn't even a practice yet, pre-training camp, because it's just a little abdominal pain. Oh, wait, it was appendicitis, right? He's going to play through a shoulder or a calf or a throat contusion or whatever the heck it was. I forget the exact diagnosis. All these things he's played through. But I think he's learning now, like, yeah, I'm going to play through those. And I even asked him, what about when the regular season starts? And he's like, oh, it's business as usual. You can fight through that stuff when the regular season starts. But when it's June or July or even August, it's all about getting to September healthy and obviously getting to January and February healthy.
Yeah, and again, it's similar to what he said in the past, but I couldn't help but notice during this particular answer, and there were many more like this, more from a sort of objective, social sort of observation of Joe Burrow. There's stock answers. There's quickly, I want to get through this answer to move on to the next one. But to your point, 19 minutes he spent. But in that particular answer, if you back it up right now, you're watching it on Bally, you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, back it up right now after I make this observation. Notice the pauses. He gives his words, he waits. And I know this because I was editing it. I was looking at the audio track and I noticed the waveform, constant breaks. I'm like, what are people asking him questions? I go back and listen. No, it was Joe pausing, thinking, speaking. Pausing, thinking, speaking. I can't tell you how many times it happened in that 1 minute clip, but it happened more than I'm used to. And I've watched a lot of Joe Burrow news conferences.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And that's why I think he was being as honest as, not that he's not honest anytime. You know, I think he tries to be
authentic, something, yeah,
as he can. But I think it was another level, but at the same time, he didn't want to surpass that level by being too honest with the media, right? And so everything was well thought out, not crafted because it was off the dome, but you could see the wheels turning as they were turning throughout that news conference. And I think it's refreshing, and I think it makes a ton of sense for the next step of his career. Everyone talks about him. Is he injury prone? Is he not injury prone? I think part of it is he's just been really, really effing tough. And if you're that tough, sometimes you're playing through things and, you know, it's going to lead to more. So hopefully they can keep him upright, which I'm sure we will talk about plenty. And hopefully he can stay healthy this year. Let's shift gears, though, because DJ Turner is battling for a starting cornerback job with Dax Hill. I caught up with DJ Turner during Bengals mandatory mini camp. I chat with him one-on-one coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. I'm James Rapien, and the Bengals secondary situation is certainly a topic that we're going to continue to discuss for the next few months. Andrew, your top worry, concern a few weeks back was cornerback. Currently is cornerback. One of those guys battling for the starting cornerback job is DJ Turner II, someone who played really well in training camp last year, flashed early in the season, and then had the ebbs and flows of a rookie year. I caught up with him in the Bengals locker room. In the Bengals locker room with DJ Turner. DJ, obviously, you've been at it now for a little over a month. OTAs have come and gone. We're into the mandatory minicamp stage. How How's everything going for you?
It's been going good. It's been going good. Getting back into the groove of things. Like I said, mandatory minicamp now. Got a couple more days. Got to hit the summer strong and come back. And when we come back, it's going after that.
Obviously, last year there was some ups and downs, as there are with every rookie year. How did you assess that? What were your points of emphasis this offseason to focus on to be even better in year 2?
Yeah, I mean, I just left some players on the field. I got to finish way stronger. And so that's just the main thing, physically, mentally, everything. I just hone in on all that and go into the season strong.
This year, you have to compete with a former teammate or a college teammate who's now your teammate in Dax Hill at corner. He changes positions. Is that weird? It's a unique situation, at least outside looking in. Is it weird that you have to compete with him?
No, I mean, me and Dax, we got a good relationship. We know football, and outside of football, we leave it at the field. So, it's not weird. You know what I'm saying? We all want to be the best at what we do. So it's nothing crazy. We need everybody at their best. It's gonna take everybody. So no, it's not weird at all.
I know it's early as far as the offseason and the process, but working with these new faces. Geno Stone's obviously here. Von Bell is back. You missed him. He's a familiar face to a lot of us, but you missed him as a rookie. What has it been like with the new faces in the second?
I mean, it's good. Everybody gelling. Everybody trying to figure out their roles right now. Camp really going to tell a lot, so we can hit the season strong.
What's your ideal goals for this season or training camp or anything like that? Have you gotten that far?
Yeah, I do, but I mean, they're personal goals though. But for the main part, just be available for my team and do whatever they need me to do. So,
what would you tell rookie DJ Turner if you could go a year ago? What would you say to yourself? Because I look at these rookies now and they're just trying to tread water a little bit. Obviously, you made it past that point. So, what would you say to yourself?
Don't ride the wave. Stay consistent. It's gonna be highs and lows, and don't ride the wave. If you're doing good, keep going. If you're going bad, you gotta keep going. So I said, don't ride the wave.
I feel like that's something that can stick with you throughout your career, right? That's something that always works.
100%, 100%.
As far as that rookie year goes, I remember in camp, everyone was like, "Oh man, DJ," because you had like 4 PBUs. It seemed like every practice, and I might be exaggerating, but people felt your presence.
Camp.
Do you think you rode that wave? Do you think you felt that?
Camp. I mean, more into the season. Like I said, it was highs and lows. So that's riding the wave because it's not consistent. So yeah, I would say my rookie year, 100% I did because I wasn't consistent as I wanted to be. So not in camp, but like throughout the season.
One of my takeaways from your rookie year was your love for Spider-Man video games. I beat Spider-Man. It's one of the rare video games that I played end-to-end and was able to beat because I just don't take the time to do it. But what are you playing now? Let everyone know what you're playing now.
So I'm on 2K, but I'm about to play Last of Us in a little bit. So, no, I haven't. That's one I got to get. I've been meaning to get to. So I think my summer game gonna be Last of Us. So,
Did you watch the show?
Yeah, I did. So that's what I'm saying. I got to pick up where I left off of the show to go on. So
yeah, you got to get both of them done this summer, Last of Us and Last of Us 2.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now. That's my game.
Yeah, I can already feel the viewers. They're like, "Oh, Last of Us is amazing. You're gonna love it." So
yeah, I'm already knowing. I've heard endless about it. So
well, enjoy that, and I appreciate the time. Good luck, and we'll see you at camp.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Andrew, both you and I have watched The Last of Us, the show. You played the first game, I believe, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So everyone that has played it loved it. I need to play it. DJ's about to play it. That's an exciting one. I know he beat Gears of War. He beat the new Spider-Man. So for those wondering, those are some of the games that DJ's played. He's about to dive into The Last of Us.
It's classic. DJ, listen, reach out to us. We would love to hear your recap of your experience. It needs to happen. You got time, as much as you're gonna get in the next month.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, you got to beat that one, and then you got to beat that second one, and so we'll see if he can get through both of them. But speaking of video games, the Madden 25 cover, well, it's not Joe Burrow, it's not Jamar Chase. Despite speculation here in Cincinnati, we will react to it. And did EA Sports get it wrong? We'll discuss that coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller, and Well, you can catch us every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern right here on the YouTube channel, Cincinnati Bengals Talk, also weekly on Valley Sports. Andrew, Christian McCaffrey is on the cover of Madden 25. What was your instant reaction?
It made sense. It made absolute sense. I mean, it's the NFL rushing yards leader. It's the 2023 Offensive Player of the Year. Anyone can make an argument for Chiefs player, Travis Kelce, Mahomes yet again. But that was certainly, McCaffrey was among the top in my opinion. We can talk a bit, James, about whether or not certain Bengals players should have been, because I know there was speculation, but I'll hold that for a second. I will tell you, though, that Christian McCaffrey, to me, makes absolute sense.
I think EA Sports would consider me after I toast Chad Johnson.
Oh, my God.
I'm just kidding. People got going a couple weeks back.
Here.
Woo, people got going with that. I will say this. I'm a little surprised they didn't go with the brothers, the Travis and Jason Kelce, the Kelce brothers. I'm serious.
Okay.
You could get the Swifties involved, and I'm not turning this in. I know
I
it's
understand it from a
show.
marketing standpoint, yes.
Yeah, like I'm surprised. But from a football standpoint, Christian McCaffrey is probably the best the best non-quarterback in football. I think I'm comfortable saying that. And maybe you say a pass rusher, someone like that. He's awesome. He's awesome. Okay. He's a receiver. He's a running back. He gives you elite production.
And they haven't had a running back on the cover. So Madden 25, they've not had a running back on the cover since Madden 25 in 2013, which was Barry Sanders, although he also kind of shared it with Adrian Peterson. 2 running backs, right? But that's the last time. So give the running back some love. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I thought you were going to say since Peyton Hillis, which would have been really
No. No, he was in Madden 12 or it was in 2011. But yeah.
That would have been really weird for a funny reason that I'm not
cleanse
convinced.
the palate either way.
He is Andrew Foxmiller. I'm James Rapien. That's going to do it for us. As always, thank you so much for watching. Enter the jungle.